So last night while I was streaming the opening day of WoW Dragonflight, which is in its weekly maintenance right now, which is usually a rolling restart. So it's usually, I don't expect it to be very long. There was an idea that came up on kind of what people's frustrations are with WoW versus Final Fantasy XIV, because that's my primary MMO. And so the vast majority of people that come and hang out and stream know us through Final Fantasy XIV. It is not the only game people know us through, but it is the vast majority. It is the game we all have in common. We may all play 5 games, and the other 4 of those may have nothing in common, but that is the one place we share. And so that is my default comparison. And the frustration was that World of Warcraft over monetizes. And so I want to talk about exactly what their example was. And it was their shop. If we go to the World of Warcraft shop and we pull this up, they were talking about mounts. Why are all the cool mount skins locked behind this? For example, if you play during the anniversary event, you can get a mount every year. And right now, they will allow you to go through and collect all the ones you may have missed. It's half off for a Black Friday thing, and price will automatically be reduced if you already have one. And so this is a way of completing digital collector's editions as well as the 15th anniversary mounts and so on. So this is like the exact same thing within the MOG station that allows you to go back and like fill out the collector's edition for the different expansions, because they don't do anniversary mounts. And so here is the Final Fantasy XIV MOG station. And if we go look at best sellers, the newest mount is right at the top of it. But if we go look at mounts, here they are. And they also sell mounts. They also, this is a common thing. But the question is, which one is more predatory? Which one is more abusive of their fan base? And so we could try to compare it price by price. We could look at the fact that multi-seeders in Final Fantasy are most commonly associated with paid transactions or various skins. Do we think that mounts should be reskinned? Should they not? There's a lot of ways to look at this, but mounts was the exact example given. And it was given as the number of mounts. I personally am all for reskins in a game. If they take the time to do something really cool, if they build a mount that a boss rides into the arena on, or if they put a cool monster out in the world to slay, I want to ride it. I am all for reskins or reuses. Armored versions, literally just different colors. The more the merrier. But there is a website that would help us decide, is this really a distinguishing feature? Now, Final Fantasy XIV is not seen as kind of predatory. And there's 2 parts to this. First, we're going to talk about the mounts, and then we're going to talk about the second thing, which is Twitch drops. And so let's jump over to Lala achievements. So in mounts, I currently own 87 mounts. Some of those have the little paid symbol next to them because they cost real money, meaning I bought collector's editions or I took part in a promotional event, like when they partnered with Butterfinger. Some of them are long-lost seasonal events, which means that they are now available only through the MOG station or the Fat Black Chocobo, which we will talk about in a minute. And there are 97 mounts left in the game to obtain easily within game. Easily being a wide spectrum of how much effort it would take, but ultimately, I could get there. If I play enough and I play the right content, I will get there. Now, the total here is where it gets really interesting. We do not care about obtainable versus not obtainable for this because we're asking how many mounts are locked behind a paywall. That is not the base subscription of these games, because when comparing World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy, they both have a subscription, so most players look past that, as opposed when you go compare that to something like Guild Wars 2 or New World. There are people that really struggle with the base subscription. Just getting access to your account requires money every month. So I have 87 mounts. There are 97 left for me to acquire, which means if I get every mount in game, my total collection will jump to 184. Now, if I then go down and spend money, real money, which would be a lot, some of these are very expensive, 26 mounts you would have to spend money. You need to participate in a promotional campaign. You need to buy a collector's edition. You have to spend money. 26 divided by 233 is 11% of the mounts in game are locked behind money. Now, some of those, like this, there is a Magitech in game. These are just different colors. There's actually 2 Magitechs in game. But the white and the red ones are money. The gold and the black ones are not. But we've got 11% in the game. And here's where I think something interesting happens. If we now jump over to the exact same sort of achievement website for World of Warcraft, this is the Data for Azeroth. Data for Azeroth puts a score on everything you can do and then ranks you worldwide to kind of see how you're doing. And so, mounts in game, first of all, World of Warcraft has had 994 mounts ever added. So right out of the gate, one of the best ways to get in front of monetization, in my opinion, is to have a wildly large amount in game. So the fact that we're comparing 994 to 233 is crazy. It's crazy. But remember, World of Warcraft is regularly villainized for the way they monetize. Final Fantasy is not. Both sell boosts, both sell Mog Station mounts, skins, minions. They both sell these things. So who is doing it in a way that really locks things away? So let's go to source and let's turn off all but promotions. These are things tied to promotions. I also want all the ones that I have collected because I buy collector's editions sometimes. So what we have here is 994 mounts total. Now, they do have mounts for things like Arena and stuff like that, so there are things that are locked away that if you didn't get them, you didn't get them. They do that regularly. But assuming, once again, you've played the game from the very get-go, you've done everything that a player should be expected to do, besides shell out money in addition to your subscription. You've got your statue from being constantly subscribed, you don't take breaks from the game, you clear every piece of content to the maximum that could be expected of you. There are 60 mounts in game. 60 is a lot more than 26. But it is 60 divided by 994. That is 6% of mounts in game. And the vast majority of these, in my opinion, that feel frustrating are because they are behind a trading card game that's now defunct. And they just started re-releasing as Twitch drops old things from this. So they've proven that they're not getting away from going through and making these available through other sources, because some of these sources are just no longer available. The Feldrake mount that we just got for the Twitch drop around the launch of Dragonflight was in this list and now is not. So I think that's really interesting, because I think what it has more to do with is what they do with the money. When you see them managing the game in a frustrating way, when you see them not treating their employees in a healthy way, when you feel like they're not managing the content in a healthy way, you resent the fact that they are asking you for money. If you have a friend come over and insult everything they hate about you and tell you that they're going to bring over a tool for you to borrow and they don't bring it, and they're going to give you a ride to the airport and they don't show up, and they borrow money and they don't pay you back, and then they come ask for you to, hey, I got trapped at a restaurant, I forgot my wallet, can you come pay for me? No. Like, screw you. Like, that's not a friend. And so it's a feeling. This is a transaction with a company, with a corporation, and corporations are in business to make money. And so in general, we accept that Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft's goal is to extract money from me, right? From the player at a profitable rate. They are aiming to make more money than it costs making the game, and we're all okay with that. What we're not okay with is when we no longer feel like we're getting our end of the bargain. Because when we actually sat down and looked at this, the complaint in chat was, I just hate that they lock so many mounts behind money. And we went through this, and we all, I thought maybe World of Warcraft had the advantage here because I just knew they had so many more mounts. I knew they had 4 or 5 times as many mounts. But I didn't know it was this skewed. It's half as many percentage-wise, and it's over a much larger number. A much larger number. Now let's look at something that's not getting frustration from World of Warcraft in the same way it did in Final Fantasy. And let's ask why the game that has mismanaged itself publicly in the past more often is actually coming out better. Final Fantasy XIV had a limited event, I believe it was partnered with Amazon, to get the Fat Black Chocobo. This was not available in all regions. I think it was tied to a KFC event over in China. Here in the US, I believe it was you had to buy something off Amazon, but you could literally buy like a Final Fantasy XIV time card or something. But later, they brought it back as a partnership with a promotional event where you could donate 5 gifted subs to a phrase that I see a lot. The phrase is the exact same that World of Warcraft's used. Here is the phrase. It was marketed exactly the same way as they are handling this minion right now. World of Warcraft is partnering with Twitch to host a support a streamer during the launch of Dragonflight. This was exactly the same. Final Fantasies was during a mid-patch cycle when everybody was already excited about the game. You had an overwhelmingly positive community that was growing, and they came out and said, we want to do something to support a streamer around this time. Twitch viewers will be rewarded for gifting subscriptions to participating streamers. Exactly the same idea. It was 5 gifted subs versus 2. It was a minion versus a mount, but they just gave away a mount for free. Guild Wars gave away a mount skin for free, so I don't think the amount of money has to do with what you get. That seems to be something that the company just chooses. Starting November 28th until December 12th, nice healthy amount of time, support your favorite. That's the phrase. Your favorite. They put a comma and put eligible streamers, and you can receive a Ghastly Ishabad Harvest Golem to participate in that. Your favorite streamer was the exact portion of the phrase that pissed me off at the Fat Black Chocobo campaign. The Fat Black Chocobo campaign was a select number of streamers. I don't remember the exact number, but it's counted by the dozens. It was 30, 40 people across a wide variety of experience with the game. It was meant to be like a growth metric where you would have people who don't typically stream the game trying it out. It was long-time big people within the directory. But it was done during a time of year when we're supposed to be celebrating diversity. It was missing a lot of diversity metrics. There were a lot of like individual player types as far as the type of content we consume that felt underrepresented. So it didn't have diversity in that definition either. And all in all, the list was too small to represent any MMO in a way that would be considered diverse from more than any one perspective. The list was too small. And they said, your favorite, which made it feel like if you're the person, or even I like watching 10 people were not on that list, that you were not valid as a viewer and you were not welcome. Here's the list. And that's it. So we've got some English speakers, some French speakers, some German speakers, some Spanish, and 1 Finnish. And that's what you get. And you get the Fat Black Chocobo. Okay? Here's the total list. Out of everybody that plays Final Fantasy XIV. World of Warcraft handled this very, very differently. First of all, they did it with a minion, not a mount. So the big reward was just for watching anybody in the directory, and the minion was done at the exact same time. Now, Annie Fuchsia, Twitter, tweeted this out, and so I want to reference this exactly. Blizzard gave Twitch drops to anyone in the World of Warcraft category for a drop during pre-patch and for launch. At the same time as launch, when people who want the Feldrake could be in any stream in the directory, you may gift only 2 to any streamer that signed up that was invited. She didn't quite represent that, but it's Twitter. It's a limited number of characters, which was over 4,000 flag streamers. I have no idea what the number is, but it's not just large. We were not invited. So I think people, when I said the Fat Black Chocobo campaign bothered me, thought that it bothered me because I was not invited. I said that wasn't the case. I'm telling you that's not the case here. I am all for how they handled this. What it looks like is that in your Twitch dashboard, you got a chance to opt into this. They had a limited time window because that's how things work. They have to opt you in. It says 1 to 4. Okay, let's correct that. A cumulative of 4. Oh, 1, gift 1, or a cumulative of 4. It was 4. Thank you. I want to be accurate. 4 gifted subs. Great. I don't think it's the point here. I don't think the number matters. It wouldn't matter to me if it was 20 or 1. The idea is that you had a small number of people with an incredible reward. So these people in many cases were given tens of thousands of dollars and reported that. Were very open about how much they made. Meanwhile, you had people not on this list who had people say, hey, I'm not going to watch you because I'm busy watching. I can't sub to you because I'm busy subbing to somebody else. Or, you know, like, it ended up with like this weird amount of negativity. It was a positive event at a positive time in the community, and somehow a positive plus a positive became a negative. And what I'm saying is World of Warcraft, who is traditionally seen as worse for handling monetization, mounts was the exact example, and in mounts they're not worse. If you're mad at the WoW token, there's no comparison in 14. And don't play Guild Wars, don't play EVE Online, don't play, I believe, ESO. Like, don't play any game that has a token. And I totally respect that. That's a separate thing. But the frustration towards WoW about monetization has long preceded the token. It is a massive number of streamers that are flagged for this. I don't know how many ended up positively flagged, but I can tell you Final Fantasy did not consider 4,000 channels. If 10% of this number is the actual number, 400, that's not 400. This was a massive win for Blizzard. Blizzard did an incredible job. There is an event going on for everybody in every directory, big or small, ever played it or not. And it doesn't include me, and I'm telling you it's awesome. So I don't think that all frustration is geared towards general overall sentiment. I think it's geared towards where is the money going. This is a reasonably small amount of money, right? A pet is $10, and I can go give $10 to a streamer from a large number to get a $10 value in a game that just came out with an expansion and just gave me a different minion for free and a different mount for free for watching anybody in the directory or even just streaming myself. So World of Warcraft got no hate around this as compared to the widespread hate around this, and it has a lot to do with good game armor. At the time of an expansion, World of Warcraft is going to get overwhelmingly positive press. So I think it has to do with general sentiment towards the game and where is our money going. Right now it feels like I'm supporting a streamer who's playing a game that just got a massive amount of content. And that's a good thing. And here it felt like they were asking me to support a limited number of people to support a game that was mid-content cycle. This event was going on until August 24th of 2021. Let's go see what was going on at the time. So let's pull up our MMO spreadsheet of Epic Nerdiness, and let's go compare exactly where we were within the patch cycle. August of 2021, we were sitting here waiting. The expansion was not going to release until December. We were sitting here hanging out. The last major content cycle was in May. So when we talk about monetization in games, I just think that it's interesting that there is a subtext as we looked at Preach sitting down with Lore and Lore saying it's not always about what people say. Yes, people mean what they say. Yes, we should be aware of things like frustration around monetization. We should absolutely be aware that people don't like to see the coolest mounts in game locked behind money consistently. But underneath, are people frustrated about the Fat Black Chocobo campaign in a positive game with a positive event? Yes. Are people frustrated about a minion in a game that people widely criticize for basically the same type of event? No. Because they gave streamers a bunch of stuff anyway to all sorts of communities, so nobody feels left out. Here's the number of eligible streamers. It has to do with where is my money going? How much do I have to spend? And are there other options? I just thought it was interesting. It's just a commentary on what we say and what we mean. Because we don't mean they can't charge money for things. And we don't mean that they should set the paywall so high to make what they need to make, when really there's some players who can only afford a basic subscription, and there are other players who are willing to spend a great deal more. And so the fact that people can support the game to varying levels and get varying experiences is pretty great, especially since all we're talking about right now is cosmetics. Within monetization, we're just talking about cosmetics. If we start to talk about selling power, selling tokens, this is a different conversation. But I think in general, frustration towards games has a lot more to do with the sentiment towards the gameplay itself than the actual monetization. The real sentiment is make a good game, care for your community, the monetization will take care of itself. You can have these things, that's okay. As long as the base gameplay itself still has plenty of mounts. In both games, we're looking at roughly 90% or more. As long as the base game has consistent regular content, consistent regular communication about that content, and that content seems to, within a reasonable number of patches, respond to the complaints and criticisms that players have, and that when you get a chance, you celebrate the community on a wide scale, not a small one.